folks? My name's Jason Verns. I want to welcome you guys to For the Love of Music. And listen, we are live streaming. We have multiple camera angles. Andy's going to be watching this. Can we make some noise? Send some love to the man who we're all here for, Mr. Andy Briggs, ladies and gentlemen. Make some noise for him. I got to be honest with you, man. For folks who don't know me, my name's Jason Verns. I'm a magician in town, and I'm nervous as shit to be up here tonight because I have no idea where I'd be in my career if it wasn't for Andy Briggs. I actually emailed him when I was like 13 years old begging to play Victoria House Concert B with 3 of my friends, and he offered me a Wednesday night, and I was like, no, Andy. Give me a Saturday night. I can prove it. And I did, and we've been friends ever since. That man, seriously, I have zero idea where I'd be without him. And without further ado, I want to intro one of his best friends. Ladies and gentlemen, make some noise to give us an update, to say some words. Mr. Fred Dobbs, ladies and gentlemen.
So the word out of Kingston, Ontario is that Andy is doing well. He's sleeping, he's resting, he's 3 hours ahead of us right now, but yeah, he came through surgery and things are looking good. I met Andy in like the late 80s, and it's interesting because my mother told me when I was a kid that things always come in threes. And the first thing that happened for Andy and I, we became very close friends because we both had an interest in sand sculpting. And Wells is here tonight, who was with us in those early days creating sand sculptures. And just the other night, 40 sand sculptors from Denmark issued a video. You can see it on Facebook right now if you want. Andy has impacted so many people, the sand sculpting community. Things happen in threes. The second thing was Andy and I had a love for hockey. And we, as you probably all know, he plays hockey, loves hockey, the Boston Bruins. Who ever heard of them, right? But the third thing is music. And what's interesting about the tie-in between hockey and music is Andy and I were down at the Strathcona one night watching the Vancouver Canucks play the Montreal Canadiens. And they were going into overtime. And what's interesting about Montreal and Vancouver is that they have such a big fan base in Victoria, right? And so when Montreal scores, half the room stands up, and then Vancouver scores the other half, and it's all very genial. Anyway, what was interesting was it was the third period, the game was tied, they were going to overtime, they were at the Strathcona, I think I said that. But anyway, the screen went up, and out walked this curly-haired guy with, like, a skinny guy with guitar and stuff, and we're like, who's this guy? Anyway, he was sort of warming up, like setting up a music stand, and we're like, whoa, wait, no, you can't start. Like, the game's going into overtime. And he turned to us and he goes, oh, I get it, I'm Canadian. And anyway, so he tuned his guitar and left, and the Canucks went on to go and win overtime, which was a complete shock to everybody. But then afterwards, this guy came out and he started playing some music, and at one point he said, I'm gonna play a song now that I wrote when I was with this band, and we didn't quite catch what the band was, but he started playing music, and Andy turned to me and I turned to Andy, and we went, I know that stuff. Turns out it was none other than Tom Hooper from the Grapes of Wrath, who's here with us tonight, and he is gonna play now. And I must also say that one of the next things that happened over the next couple of weeks is that we ended up buying Tom a drink because we felt so shitty about, telling him that he couldn't play until the Canucks were finished. But eventually Andy said something to him like, hey, what would it take for you to come to my house and play for me or my whatever, come to my house? And I think Tom, said something about how much money he makes a night, which is like in the thousands. And he then said something about, well, you just pay for my ferry trip. I need a place to stay. And Andy, you know how he is with numbers. He went, so that means if I brought my friends, charged them $10, I could have you in my living room, which is sort of more or less where Victoria House Concert B started. And I think what's interesting is that it's almost that point where you recognize that it's this man, Andy's love for music, which really brought a lot of us together as music lovers. And this is sort of the things coming through. So the third thing is the music. And I just think it's really cool that Tom, the music, and everything is brought together. So ladies and gentlemen, Tom Hooper, Grapes of Wrath, legend.
Thanks, Fred. I totally remember that night.